We're here at the Oval with Glentoran manager Devine. We'll talk about the season so far, we'll preview the League Cup final, and we'll talk about in general his time at Glentoran and what it means to him to manage here. This is a good one, you won't want to miss it. Welcome to the Players' Lounge.
He won every competition. I said this last year, people laughed at me. If we don't set our sets high, what's the point? The quality he possesses is, second to none. A real quality player. Last year, when I reflect on it, was we weren't good enough. We didn't do enough. Listen, failure's a harsh word, I think, because we finished third.
Daggy, just want to start. Look, we're upstairs here in the Oval. How much you played here? A few years ago. How much has Glentoran changed? From your opinion, from when you played here to now managing, what around the club has changed, and especially for players, what's the experience? What's the differences, but what's still the same?
Listen, the history is just jumping out of the place. The quest for success is something else that I feel that it was almost taken for granted back in the day that you would be challenged for every major honour. I think we've had a number of years now where we haven't been at the top table. And I think it's about, especially since I come in, and the backing that the owner and the director of football has given us, it's quite clear where we want to get to. And that's being back at the main table when it comes to trophies being handed out and challenging for titles. But ultimately, for me, it's about trying to get the club back in a professional manner, the way that I believe that it should be. And we've changed a lot of the structures over the course of the last 18 months. The mentality around the club, our professionalism around the club, how we go about our job. But ultimately, that's about results, and we do that in the process that hopefully gets us results at the end of the week. But for me, there's just that real historic feel when you come into work every day. When I see our fans selling out every away game, you just see how much this club means to people. They travel everywhere and get behind the team, and there's probably a few thousand that follow us on a weekly basis, but there's probably 100,000 that's looking out for Glentoran's results worldwide, and that's the nature of the club. And with that comes a bit of pressure, but ultimately you have to enjoy it when you're here, because it's an absolute honour and a privilege to manage this football club. But I also fully aware that we're not here for a fun time. We're here to try and leave a legacy of trying to win trophies.
And as a manager, how do you try and, for the boys that you sign that aren't necessarily from Belfast, don't necessarily know what Glentoran means, how do you try and instill that in new signings, people that come to the club? Do you rely on, obviously Els is still a part of your staff, you've still got Moko here, there's boys that have been here. Do you look to them to try and instill in that, or what is your approach to a manager to try and make the boys understand the importance?
I think when I first came in, again, even though I played here and I knew what the place was about, you still have to seek how people felt. And I think over recent years, you've got to work hard to be here. The fans demand that you work hard. When I first came in, I didn't think the team really reflected that. We lost an Irish Cup final and a Whomper, our semi-final out here, and Whomper to Linfield, and that was a real eye-opener for me. But when you sit down with a player and you tell them your plans and the story of the club, the one thing that we've got to demand is a high work ethic and a desire every day to get the club back to where it belongs. I mean, the players are bought into that, and if they're not buying into that, then obviously they won't be here, and that's the starting point. But we also have an obligation to try and play. I think over recent weeks we're getting better at that. But as I say, look, the players are fully aware of where the club has been and where it is and where we want to get to. The things that's happening around the club, obviously, hopefully a new stadium coming, and the recipe for more fans to come into a proper stadium and really take this place to another level is something that we speak about. But ultimately it's about good players working hard and coming and bringing good standards on a daily basis, and if we can get that, I have no doubt that we can have success on the pitch.
Yeah. And reflecting back on last season, I think Glentoran started house on fire, but really seemed to peter out towards the end of the season. When you got to the end of the year, how do you reflect on that? What was your analysis of, how do you look to correct that going into the new year, to go on that next step of which you're looking like you're on the way to doing?
Well, last year, when I reflect on it, was we weren't good enough. We didn't do enough. We fell over a couple of hurdles. We had opportunities to win games that we didn't take. We had certain circumstances with, big players coming out at big times. We lost David Fisher at that time, and we lost James Singleton from the County Antrim Shield, two massive players for us. But at the same time, it was a brand new squad, and there were certainly mistakes made in terms of the points return. But ultimately, you want to continue to build, and I felt this year that we are. We lost a couple of good players over the course of the last 12 months. There's no doubt about that. But I think we're more rounded as a squad. I think we're more structured as a squad. I think we've got more competition. That nobody's guaranteed to start a game here. We've got 3 or 4 players sitting in the stand on any given night, and I think that's where I see the difference in this year and last year, is that the team almost picked itself in the bench. Was what it was. It was light. Whereas over recent games, I'm able to bring 3 or 4 really established players into the team on the back of 55, 60 minutes.
And there wasn't mass turnover like has been in previous years of almost like, a brand new starting 11. It was addition to the team, and hopefully then those players that were part of the failure from last year can learn as they are going into this year.
Listen, failure's a harsh word, I think, because, we finished third. We won a County Antrim Shield, disappointing Irish Cup campaign, but I'd say failure's a harsh word. Failure was, with 10 games to go, and I was brought on here, and you lie down to your biggest rivals on the Oval in front of a huge crowd live on TV, and players aren't trying for the badge. That's failure. That's absolute failure. But last year I couldn't complain in terms of the effort and commitment that the players give us. It was a light squad. This year, as I say, we want more. We want to achieve. We want to win trophies. But there's no divine right for that either. We have to make sure that we do uphold our side of the bargain. We have to leave it all out there. But I just feel that this squad has much more about it in terms of its mental strength, in terms of its quality and our goals return. I think, when you're able to bring people like Pat Hubin to the club, it's massive. Aaron McAnuff. But the pleasing aspect for me is being able to tie people that have been here for a few years and see the way we're trying to take it. The Marcus Keanes, the Singletons, bringing Jordan Stewart back. A lot of people want to be about this club now at the minute, and that's a real positive, because when I first came in, there was a dark cloud.
Yeah.
And now when you're sitting down to talk to a player, it's very positive, and there's a lot of players that would be very interested in coming to the club, because hopefully they see that we're on the right track and trying to move the right way.
And like you just mentioned Succa there, Succa's been like absolutely unbelievable this year. But there was a lot of worry about when he first joined the club. And I think how he's reacted to that and just letting his performances do the talking, must be delighted with how he's been able to come in and do that. And there was a risk in taking that side on how the fans react, but he's reacted amazingly.
Listen, he's been a breath of fresh air. I love coming in and working with him every day. The quality he possesses is second to none. A real quality player. But he'll be the first to tell you as well, training's a high level at the minute. People like himself, Cammy Palmer's playing out of his skin. I think Succa has been able to come in and really lift the belief from the place where you have a player like that has magic in his boots. Now, listen, I don't think, you look around, you have people like Liam Burt as well. As I say, Ross Clark coming in has been outstanding for us also, and a lot of the players that we brought on have been really high level. But MJ coming in from Lincoln on loan, through a relationship we have with Jez George at Lincoln, he's been magnificent for us as well. So right throughout the team, you've got big players that have really bought in. But when you have that wee bit of magic and players like Stewart and Hubin and McAnuff, being able to bring Josh Daniels and people like that club, it gives us hope.
Well, you made 2 signings in January, Ja O'Rourke and Ross Clark, and I think typically hasn't been a standard profile of player that Glentoran have signed in the past, say, few years of experienced Irish League players. But I mean, they're 2 players I've played with, both absolutely fantastic. Was that a purposeful thing to try and bring in some kind of people proving Irish League experience to help the squad? Was that a purpose?
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't shy away from the fact that, you know, these guys know how to win in this league.
Yep.
They know what the league's about. They know the ups and downs and the schedule like the back of their hand. But they're also hungry and driven to succeed again.
Yeah.
And that for me, I wouldn't have someone coming here just for the sake of seeing out their career. You know, it's proven Irish League players, winners, hundreds of games under their belt, and really hungry to come to the football club. They play in a professional environment. That ticks all the boxes for me, because, you know, as I said to you early on in the interview, it's an absolute honour to manage this club. And when I see players that really want to come here and give everything for the shirt, having been in the league for a long time and know the highs and lows that it involves, and where you have to get there on a dark, cold Tuesday night in December, and how they won games, and those type of players, I think are worth their weight in gold.
I think Ross specifically, I can imagine the Glentoran fans just taking to him in a heartbeat because of the way he plays, his heart in his sleeve, and he'll get wired in. And that's the Glens fans love seeing players like that play how they would play if they were on the pitch.
I say I watch obviously a lot of football in my job, and you review games and you prepare for games, and every time I seen Ross Clark, I just seen absolute quality on the ball. People don't give him the credit because they see it as more physicality. He possesses that in buckets as well, but, you know, when you look at the quality Stewart has had over recent years, and Clark, as I say, Jarlath, McAnuff, Josh Daniels has been about the league as well, and moved from here to Wales, and, you know, there's a lot of quality there, but there's also a lot of people that understand what it takes to win.
Yeah.
And that's the next step. Look, there's no guarantees that it'll come this week, next week, or a week after. But the one thing you've got is you've got a chance with these people that bring their best every day, and want to improve themselves, but also improve the team and compete and fight for places. And if you can take off a quality player after 60 minutes and bring on another quality player, I think that gives you a hell of a chance.
Yeah. As you look ahead to the League Cup final, how much is last year etched and going to be part of your approach to the game to remember?
Listen, it's not really, but it'll never leave me. I've lost cup finals in the past, and I've won cup finals in the past, and it's all about getting across the line. It's a football match, right? You have to take out, you know, who you're playing, what the crowd is, what the preparation, everything. It's about getting onto the pitch and giving everything of yourself. We had an opportunity in extra time last year. Johnny Russell, 3 yards out, had an opportunity to take a game to penalties. It was a poor game. I didn't think either team were miles ahead on it, but we still had that opportunity with a minute to go. Unfortunately for us, Johnny puts it over the bar, but that's the fine margins, and, you know, you take your chances on any given day. You won trophies on a one-off game. So, listen, last year it hurts me still. It always will. Even next 15, 20 years, I'll look back and go, what an opportunity. But, you know, it's all about looking forward. We have to embrace this game for what it is. We have to take a certain degree of the emotion out of it, but we also have to perform. And as I say, we've talked about the quality players. We've a lot of high-level players here, but it's all on the day. You have to make sure that you go about your job in the right way, get your game plan right, and not have any regrets come the final whistle.
And do you see, your answer's obviously going to be yes here, but like, obviously winning this could hopefully spur the team on for the rest of the year. Is the goal this year to be, you know, the goal for the team, do you see winning the league as being realistic?
I see winning every competition. I said this last year, people laughed at me. We only won a County Antrim Shield, but I think when you sit in this position and you look around the club and you see the legends on the wall and what they've all won in the past, and, you know, it has to give you motivation to win everything that you possibly can. So I genuinely hold the highest respect for the league. I think there's a lot of really good teams in the league this year. I think you know, high level competition. But I also believe in the group we have, and if we don't set our sets high, what's the point? We have to go after everything we possibly can and see where it takes us come the end of the year.
Well, Declan, thanks very much for taking the time to speak to us today. Good luck in the cup final, and I'll see you on the day.
Gentlemen, sound buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Top man, John.